just a tiny bit worried about my solar system. So first time, Ellen, we're going to be patient with ourselves.
What happened last night, Jojo?
I was very wrong. I was very, very wrong.
Today we are headed to New Mexico. While I have boondocked before, it's only been on Harvest Host locations, but I am now headed west for the winter, and the places I want to go to most are national parks. So kind of basing my travel, at least for now, around national parks. I really want to go to White Sands, and I didn't realize there was another national park before White Sands, and that is Carlsbad Caverns. But right now I am headed to a boondocking site. My first boondocking site out west, and my first boondocking site on public lands. I have gone without services like filling up with water and dumping my water for over a week. I had pieced together a couple Harvest Hosts, and that was over a week, and I didn't run out of water. And then I was at my uncle's in Virginia for just under 3 weeks on a full tank of water. And while I wasn't showering in my RV, I was doing dishes every night, I was washing my face, I was doing everything else normally. So I know my water tank can last me 2.5, 3 weeks. Granted, I am not going for 2.5 or 3 weeks to this boondocking site. I'm planning to be there for about a week. But I feel pretty prepared about this site that I'm going to, and I guess we'll see how it goes from here.
I made it to my campsite. I didn't end up recording coming in because I was a bit nervous. I turned right off a highway, and I was a bit nervous about missing that road. So I just was like, it's your first time, Ellen. We're gonna turn the camera off. We're gonna be patient with ourselves, and we're just gonna do this all on our own. So the road was a bit bumpy, but it was just fine. I took it slow, but I feel pretty good about the spot. I had to do very little adjusting. I did have to come up 2 inches on one side, but I'm comfortable doing that with my levelers. Well, it's not the most scenic view. It is still lovely because it's very expansive and it's very, very quiet outside. So I'm gonna get some lunch. I'm gonna pack up and get ready to go to the caverns, and I'm looking forward to spending a full week at the spot. Yay! It is the end of my first full day boondocking out in New Mexico. So far, everything's been going great. I have one neighbor way down yonder. I can see their rig, but I can't see any people around. I didn't do much exploring today, and I honestly won't be doing too much exploring this week. It's really going to be a test week for me. Right before the sun went down yesterday, I had 100% on my batteries. It was completely sunny today, no clouds as you can see. Now the sun is starting to set again, and it looks like I've got 87% on my batteries. Now that I have that back-ordered part for my wood stove, this was the first time I used it, and it went fantastic. Now, a couple things about the wood stove that people have tried to point out to me. I do have a direct air intake, so that's pulling fresh air directly in from the outside, so I don't have to worry about losing oxygen inside the camper. Also, it may not look like it in the video, but I do have the stove a proper distance from the wall with the right thickness sheet metal, both against my desk and on the wall behind. And where the sheet metal ends behind the stove, a double insulated pipe begins. And that double insulated pipe only needs to be 2 inches away from the wall. It's not 2 inches from the wall, it's more than that. It's probably more like 6 inches away from the wall, or rather they call it combustibles. It's 6 inches from the closest combustible, which is the wall, and then it is double insulated pipe all the way up and out. And of course I have 2 carbon monoxide alarms just to be extra safe. And as I look at my wood stove, it looks like it is finally burnt out, which is pretty much perfect timing because as it starts to cool outside, I'm gonna turn that furnace back on, and having warmth still from the stove in here, the furnace wouldn't ever kick on to keep my tanks from freezing because it's very warm in here. It stayed about 82 degrees inside my camper all day, which was so lovely, but also a little bit warm. So at one point I did open all my windows, but I love the warmth. Growing up in Michigan, I always just ran cold, like my grandma in that way. So I prefer things warm anyway, and I was a very happy little duckling spending all day in a t-shirt and shorts. Tomorrow is Monday, which means I am back to work. Again, I don't plan to explore this area too much. Besides the caverns, there wasn't a whole lot I wanted to do, so I'm going to focus on work and just enjoy my time out in no man's land. Oh, and I am going to watch the stars tonight. I was way too tired to go out and go stargazing last night, but I am definitely stargazing tonight, and I'm very excited. Good morning. It is day 3 here outside of Carlsbad Caverns National Park. It is 8:48 in the morning. About a half hour ago, it was above freezing outside, so I started my wood stove and I'm getting the inside of my camper all warmed up now. Today, as you can see outside, it is a little cloudy, so I'm just a tiny bit worried about my solar system. I'm at about 59% right now, and I am bringing in more power than I'm drawing. The reason I'm a little extra worried about my solar is because I still don't think I have the best practices down, and I also currently do not have a backup generator. So it's kind of like my batteries and my solar is all I have right now. It's a really good system, it's a really good setup, but every day it seems like I'm going 2 steps forward on the charge and 1 step back. And especially with it being cloudy today, am I just going to break even today, or am I going to make up that little bit? I do not have a DC to DC charger in my truck right now, so my truck does not charge my batteries in any significant way. I think it does charge it a little bit, but don't take my word for it because I haven't actually tracked how much battery I have started it with on a drive and how much I end with. But I do want to be here all week, so I'm really hoping that the sun does some amazing work on my solar panels over the next couple days. Doesn't seem like I'll get too much charge today, but we will see how everything goes, and I will keep you posted. It is 9:52 a.m. and the sun has finally come out, and it's not so cloudy anymore. So we're really starting to cook on those batteries and see some good progress on them. So I'm drawing about 30 watts of power, but we're getting about 200 watts into the battery, so it's really good. It seems like most of my fears were unfounded. It is just about 2 o'clock. And I have 87% on my battery, so that means I have made up what I lost overnight and then some. So I'm feeling really good. Sun is shining. We've still got probably 2 good hours of sunlight. And I'm just like, whew. I was a little worried. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, the wind picked up and I have lost all my sun. But we made it to 90%. So I've got 90% heading into this evening. So that makes me feel much better. I just haven't had to rely 100% on my solar for a full week. So I didn't ever want it to get into a situation where I was running way too low on batteries, and being able to basically replenish everything I use overnight and in a day makes me very happy. So I guess we're just going to settle in for the night. I'm going to do a little bit more work. The last bit of my wood stove is burning out, and so we're just going to enjoy the evening. What happened last night, Jojo? What happened?
My dad texted me yesterday afternoon. He was like, hey, I heard New Mexico is going to get some snow, so you might want to check it out. And I looked on the forecast, and it was like, it was only going to get 37 degrees at night, and that's the warmest night we've had so far. I was like, we'll be fine. I was very wrong. I was very, very wrong. The trailer is fine and everything, though. It's a 4-season trailer, so it can handle snow just fine, but it's also not cold. It's snowing, but like, I was just in Michigan a couple weeks ago with snowstorms, and this isn't that same cold. It's cold, but it's not biting cold. Like, I feel like I don't need gloves, but still. It's wild. This is wild. The snow is very good for snowballs.
I was about to turn on my camera and talk about how I was still getting good solar power on my batteries even though it was cloudy out, and then the sun apparently wanted to prove me wrong. So sun's out and it's very beautiful. Not much of the snow has melted, but that's okay. It's very beautiful to look at. We're all just, me and the cats are snuggled under the covers and having a nice quiet morning. I'm keeping it cooler in here, so I'm not using a whole ton of propane, and I'm not using the wood stove because it is still cold outside, so I don't want to risk my tanks freezing. So propane is how we are keeping everything heated today. I also found a new boondocking spot near White Sands National Park that I really want to go to. I was thinking about spending a week here, but this boondocking spot is really cool and I'm very excited about it. No offense to this spot. The spot has been great, but I think I want to start moving, and you know, that's the beauty of this kind of lifestyle. I've always been a planner and always have kind of been like hard lined, like, well, we have to do this before we can move or something like that. And this lifestyle is helping me flex my being more flexible muscles and being able to move around whenever I feel like it. So the spot has been great, but once the snow clears and I can see the road going out, because it was not marked, it was just a dirt path, and get back to the highway, I'm going to go ahead and make my way to my next boondocking spot. But until then, I'm really just going to spend the day under the covers and working, so that'll be great. I made a last minute decision late last night. I sitting around and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna move tomorrow. So I got up early, moved, and leaving that spot was an absolute mess. After the snow melted, it all just turned to mud, and it was so gross. And it was everywhere is the problem. It wasn't so gross, it was just everywhere. And like by the time I was getting into my truck, it looked like I had like those, you know, those booties that you wear either in like a sterile environment or somebody's real estate showing or something like that. Yeah, it looked like that, but mud around my shoe. I was like, ugh. I threw mud all over the place as soon as I got on the road. Luckily, there was nobody behind me, but all of that has been well worth it because this view. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? You're ready. Yeah, you're ready. It's so pretty. And my window is very dirty because of the mud, but it is so pretty. And there is that pretty mountain over in the distance. And behind me is, I don't know if it's an Air Force base or a naval base, but there are fighter jets flying all over the place. And as long as they don't do it at like 5 in the morning, I think it's super, super cool. I've got a couple neighbors. It looks like I've got 3 neighbors, but nobody is close at all. And there's still plenty of space. The really cool thing about this boondocking spot is that it is 5 minutes from the entrance to White Sands. And I've got like 3 bars of service, so I'm gonna be all good with just my little hotspot. This spot is so much better than my last one for a multitude of reasons. Obviously, the view is the biggest one, but the sun here is amazing. My batteries were back to 100% before it was even 12 o'clock. So yeah, this is a really good spot if you're looking to boondock in White Sands. This spot was so cool. I am really glad I moved to this spot from Carlsbad, especially because yesterday there was a rock slide on my route here, so you can't get back to Carlsbad Cavern the way that I came. So I'm glad I moved when I did. You are right next to an Air Force base, so during the week there are planes going back and forth and into the night, not while you're sleeping, but I heard planes up until like 9 o'clock. They're not too loud to where they're disruptive. There was one that was rumbling so loud it made my camper rumble. Obviously won't know what that was. There was also definitely some missile tests where things were getting shot off, and that definitely scared me and the cats. But that only happened one day. Besides that, it was so great here. I would have stayed longer, but my cell phone signal is starting to get a little bit spotty. The first 2 days it was great, and the past couple days it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to my next spot. But first I'm gonna go back into the park. I'm gonna go sledding for a little bit, and then I'm gonna run into town, grab some groceries, then come back, pack up, and move to my next destination, which is only about 2 hours away. And I am hopefully going to get a spot at the City of Rocks State Park. It looks really amazing, so I'm excited. Overall, my first week of boondocking went great, and I was stressing out about my solar system much more than I needed to be. I never dipped below 50%, and once I got to White Sands, I never dipped below 70%. But that's it for now. Stay tuned for more videos of New Mexico and the Southwest. Thanks for watching.